Welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, a Star Trek podcast. My name is Caitlin, and today I am joined by...
Jake,
Chris,
and Ames.
And here we are. Episode 55.
Woo!
Woo! We're going to talk about the sixth and final original series motion picture.
Damn.
The Undiscovered Country. Whoop whoop.
wow.
I know. And I would just like to start by saying that I was totally wrong that this film is not shit. It is in fact awesome. And
What made you think it was shit?
I don't know. I just couldn't remember anything about it, so I figured it must not be good. In the Undiscovered Country, the Federation and the Klingons are becoming good friends.
Aww.
They're trying to do some peace talks and make friends-like in front of all of the other admirals and big-time captains and whoever the fuck else showed up to this weird meeting. Spock announces that he has volunteered Captain Kirk and the crew of the Enterprise to go and touch dicks and shake hands and make nice with the Klingons. Kirk is like, but you know how I feel about the Klingons. And everybody's like, oh yeah, how do you feel about the Klingons again? Racist. And none of us remember because none of us give a shit that David's dead and none of us believe that Kirk gives a shit that David is dead. But Kirk has decided he will never trust Klingons because David has been killed by Klingons. So he's probably the last person in the galaxy who should be going to do this. Aside from his fucking crew who also turn out to be super fucking racist for no reason.
Well, and basically everyone in the meeting, except for Spock, was like, oh, huh.
The Enterprise tools on out to the middle of space. The Klingons are there. They meet up. They have a nice dinner. There's some Romulan ale. David Warner is a really awesome, nice Chancellor. And he's really lovely. I don't know what his name was. Ames, you got a name for him?
Gorkon.
Gorkon. With Chancellor Gherkin. Gorkon.
Chancellor Gherkin!
They're in quite a pickle here in the Undiscovered Country.
Chancellor Gherkin. Why is it?
It's always the weirdest thing.
Funny.
The weirdest things like set you off. It's usually bees.
He does love bees.
Why do you love bees so much?
We're also hating bees. Do you mind if I?
Sorry, yes, with the Chancellor.
With Chancellor Gherkin is his daughter and some other Klingons, and among them is General, definitely not a villain, Chang.
He could have twirled that mustache, though.
That's true. Who, for some reason, definitely feels like a throwback to, like, Yellow Peril Klingons big time. I don't think I'm the only one that thinks that. At least I hope I'm not the only one that thinks that. Seemed a little racist to me, the way he was done up. Though apparently Plummer himself was the one who demanded that they not give him any hair, I heard.
Read that, yeah. He had a tiny ponytail in the back.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Gross.
I like it.
It was like if Dr. Lazarus had a ponytail, it would be like that.
We also meet Valeris, who is she's a cunt, also a Vulcan.
Kim Cattrall.
I actually don't know who Kim Cattrall is.
Oh, she's in the Sex and the City.
I've never really seen it.
She looks totes different.
Well, that's good, because she... Anyway, she appears to sort of be Spock's, like, spiritual successor. He, has a lot of faith in her. They're obviously in each other's confidences, and she is one of the people that is most helpful in the investigation of what happens next, which is that after a lovely dinner with lots of Romulan ale and lots of discomfort and lots of people being like, oh, look at how the Klingons eat, what a bunch of barbarians, hot damn, what the fuck. 2 torpedoes are fired at the Klingon ship, and 2 space-suited people go on board and blow away half the crew, including Chancellor Gherkin, we hardly knew ye.
I liked him.
Kirk orders the surrender of the ship. He and Bones beam aboard, and Bones tries his best to save the Chancellor, but it is too late. In his dying words, like, don't let it die with me, or whatever the fuck he said.
Don't let it end like this?
Yeah, that's it, thank you. Don't let it end like this. I knew I was wrong, but It was really good and poignant
we
and nice.
weren't going to do shot-by-shot retellings of the film.
I'm just trying to get through it. So anyway, there's a big, long, stupid fucking trial. General Chang finds them guilty of doing the thing. They get sent down to a prison planet where they're befriended by Iman, pre-marrying David Bowie, and she helps them to escape, but it turns out to be a double cross. Dun dun dun. But thankfully they're able to get back on board the Enterprise because Spock slapped some kind of Valyrian steel chip on his back or something. Wrong series. I don't know what the fuck it was, but anyway, basically a homing beacon. So as soon as they were on the surface of Prison Planet, they were detected. Spock, rushes over to save them, and that's awesome. Now, however, shit's gone fucking pear-shaped because of, the assassination and all this bad business that's happened between the Klingons and the Enterprise. So now they're having another meeting to discuss peace. The Federation president is going to speak, and they discover that Valeris, who is obviously also fucking not really a great person, is definitely not a great person and part of a plot to not let the Cold War end. So there's an assassination plot that has been planned. Our heroes rush to the secret meeting place where this conference is going to happen. They are able to stop the assassination of the Federation president. They are able to catch the baddies who done the bad plotting, and
they blow up the prototype bird of prey they can fire while cloaked.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
With Sulu's help.
Yes.
Yeah, Sulu was great in this. And then
Fire apart then.
And they all live happily ever after, but not really because this is the last movie, so they try to induce us to tears with a really sad sign-off and signatures from the cast and the
I
credits.
love that touch.
And I was crying. Aww. And anyway, but yeah, it was a good movie.
Apply ice to this Cold War metaphor. Ice from Rurapente.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this one was always my personal top original series movie.
Yeah, of the 6?
Yeah. It's
better than 2 and 3? 2 and 4?
Yeah, I think possibly. I always had a soft spot for this one. It's also the first one that I can remember seeing in the theater.
I don't think I remember seeing it. I don't think I saw it in theaters, but I distinctly remember seeing the trailers when I was really small. Because I remember the trailer involved that big crane or helicopter shot of the frozen wilderness of Rurapente, and I just remember that being in there.
Which was
it couldn't have been that little, because this was, 91, I think, right?
Yes.
So you've been 6 or 7, probably?
Probably, but considering I can barely remember yesterday, the fact that I can remember something from when I was 6 is quite an accomplishment.
I mean, we also relatively recently watched the trailer for it.
That's true. But yeah, I do remember going to see this in the theater when I was little. Because at this point, this was the...
You would have been little then.
Yeah, it would have been 5.
They allow those in the theaters?
5 or 6.
Yeah, for some reason.
Yeah. Well, I was.
Could you sit fucking still?
For Star Trek, I bet you did.
Absolutely.
All right.
What was this film rated?
This would have been PG.
PG or PG.
Yeah, I don't think they hit PG-13 until First Contact.
I think they specifically made the Klingon blood that ugly purple bullshit, so that they wouldn't, have the red blood, and that would probably have kicked it up higher to.
Well, that's probably the reason, but also
it looked really bad.
And this is the only, as far as I know, this is the only time Klingon blood is pink, Pepto-Bismol pink. I feel like every other time. I mean, I know every other time we see Klingon blood in future TV series, it's just red blood. It's just regular blood, colored blood.
Could we chalk it up to they were in zero gravity and therefore it had an effect on the structure of the blood?
It didn't oxidize or something?
Yeah, I don't know, some kind of bullshit? I don't know.
I don't know. I think, all right, if we want to have an in-universe explanation, and also an in-universe explanation for why the Klingon heads are weird in this film compared to other films and series.
All the films, they're weird.
Well,
they're a different weird every time.
So here's my in-universe explanation that I've invented. I don't know if this is legit or I am just making it up. But for all I know, this is the excuse that the nerds have come up with as well. As separate from...
I was going to say, the nerds, not like you, who have put a lot of thought into this theory that you're about to give us.
So my theory is this, that all of the Klingons in this film, as well as Klingons in the other films...
So like Krug and
the
other one.
The guy, and the crazy kid guy that, flies around and blows up Pioneer probe, that they are all augment Klingons that are affected by the augment virus that have been surgically altered to give themselves head ridges so they could feel more Klingon-like, because, looking like humans is stupid.
I still don't know what augment Klingons are.
So
when did we learn this?
This is an
Enterprise.
Enterprise thing. It is the stupidest retcon in the history of retcons.
There's a lot of stupid retcons. You hate the chase. So.
I hate the chase, and I also hate this because, spoilers for Enterprise, basically what they say is that Klingons always had head ridges. Mm-hmm. They always looked like the Klingons we see all the time. And that Data's great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, who's also played by Brent Spiner, is a geneticist and sells some, basically, serum to the Klingons that's supposed to make them super soldiers. He basically sells them con juice.
Oh, so they'll also be brought back to life.
Right. So he sells the Klingons some con juice, but because it's made from human genes, because Khan was a human, and so all of his research was human-based. Because it's human, it makes those Klingons augmented with human DNA and makes their heads smooth out. And that is why, in the original series, the Klingons don't have head ridges, is because that's still that genetic had been passed down through the generations.
But we see, like, Koloth and Kor and folk as when they're older and their head ridges are back.
Yes. So
this is confusing.
So that goes to my theory.
It has nothing to do with Undiscovered
That goes
Country.
to my theory that the Klingons in this film are also smoothhead Klingons that have had decorative...
is it wearing off? Or?
Decorative... Well, just decorative...
Like plastic surgery.
Plastic
They
surgery.
have plastic surgery to put their ridges back on.
But, that's why they don't quite look natural. Like, they just look like they've been bolted on.
Kind of like how fake tits look nothing like real tits.
Exactly. So these are fake
Nothing
ridges.
against fake tits.
I don't know.
What?
You got fake tits?
Would you like me to?
I don't know how to answer that question.
They're real and they're fantastic. That's a
thought
Seinfeld reference.
No, I understood.
Okay.
I thought you were going to make a joke about Chang's eye patch being bolted on quite
That is
literally.
bolted on. Riveted on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, what the fuck is up with that?
That's just to
They're
prove what a
badass.
badass he is.
Yeah.
And Ames pointed out that on the rivets, there's a little Klingon insignia.
No shit, is there?
Yeah, really, really tiny.
Wow.
I think
That's
the
funny.
costumer or somebody, as just for fun, drew it on,
Huh.
and it wasn't really even meant to be seen, but you can see it in a couple close-ups.
So there's some missed opportunities, I feel, with this film. As much as I love this film, and I do, they made some choices that I disagree with.
Like killing off David Warner in the first act?
No, I'm fine with that because, that was a good choice narratively because you have someone who's played by a known actor, a good actor, and they're killed off early in the film. That's unexpected. Like, you don't expect that character to go as early as
That's
it did.
fair. Yeah.
It's like casting Sean Bean in something today
And letting him live.
and letting him live.
Yeah.
It's exactly.
Unexpected.
But no, so here's some choices that I wish they had taken, that they didn't,
Right.
that I look at as missed opportunities. Choice the first, General Chang. I like David Plummer. Christopher Plummer, sorry. See, I like him so much I don't even know his first name. I like him in that character. I like the character for the most part. A little cartoony with the Shakespeare.
I was
Oh my
so
god,
fucking sick
so
of it.
way too much.
a little over the top.
In
One
the
or two.
Yeah, in
One
the
or
first-
two.
In the first 30 minutes of the film, I wrote in my notes, stop quoting Shakespeare, so that by the end of the film, I really wrote, really stop quoting
Yeah.
Shakespeare. It's way too much.
He quoted more Shakespeare in his fucking 12 minutes of screen time than anyone else had quoted in the entire series leading up to that point fucking put together.
He's quoted Shakespeare more than most actors have to quote Shakespeare.
But here's my solution to both a Shakespeare problem and also makes the character more interesting and more of a foil for Kirk.
He quotes David Mamet instead. A lot of swearing. First R-rated Trek.
No.
Fuck Mamet, though. He's an asshole.
True.
Wow. Sorry if you're listening, Mamet.
No, don't. No. He
yeah, no,
knows
I'm
he's an
not.
asshole.
No, I don't like to call people
He
assholes.
keeps fucking, taking,
No, you
striking
prefer-
royalties or some shit.
You prefer to make fun of their faces.
Have you seen what David Mamet looks like, though?
I haven't.
Anyway, go on.
Face got caught in a mechanic. Okay.
Rice picker?
Yeah. So anyway, no. Here's General Chang. Don't have General Chang. Replace that character with General Kor.
Yay!
General
Then he
Core.
knows Kirk.
He knows Kirk. He has a history with Kirk, and they're adversary. Like, you could do like Koloth, you could do Kang
He
as
loves
well.
Koloth.
You know,
But
they're
that's
buddies.
the thing. They're buddies. You can't use Koloth because they had sort of a joking adversarial.
Yeah,
really.
but Kang or
and
Core?
Kang. Well, and then Kang also, like, at the end with the big laughy party
Core would be
Yeah, I
the
was gonna
best
say,
choice.
wasn't he the one that like they wound up working together
to defeat
Yeah.
the
that
pinwheel.
was
Yeah.
Day of the Dove.
Didn't we have this discussion last week? Wasn't this also how we fixed 5? We replaced
Yeah.
random teenage Klingon with one of the pre-existing
with
ones?
him, I would have gone with Koloth for that.
Oh, okay.
So that would have been Koloth, but here you could have Kang.
Okay.
Core. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
I would
Core
have
would've been
replaced-
perfect
Wouldn't
for
Core
that.
would have been good
Yeah,
here.
I would replace Claw with Kang. Because I still think Koloth is too happy for a Klingon to be a villain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but then the jaunt in 5 would have just been like, we're gonna go pay a visit to Captain Kirk. Ma! Like,
Actually,
it
no.
would have been more
Koloth could have been the guy on Nimbus 3.
the general.
that was what. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, I thought you meant
the teenager.
The teenager.
Oh no!
I thought
That
you
is
meant
leave
that
the
too.
teenager. No, the guy
Koloth
on
would have
Nimbus
been a great
on Nimbus
ambassador,
3
yeah.
is Koloth, who's washed up and fat and old.
Which would have made sense because I feel like the
bless him.
Klingons wouldn't like him after a while because he's just too.
too happy-go-lucky.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Go on. Sorry.
But yeah, so in this film we have Core, and that way you have a relationship between him and Kirk, and you can have that moment where it's like we're face to face, but we're no longer adversaries until they realize, oh wait, no, we are still adversaries because Core's a giant dickhead.
Who's that actually? Who's the muscle in Trouble with Tribbles who starts shit on the Enterprise? Because that guy would have been a good choice too.
The guy, the little Weasley guy.
No, not Darwin. Though I will
The one
say,
who started the fight in
Yeah,
the bar?
yeah.
Oh, I forget
I
his
don't know if
name.
does he get.
I don't
it?
think he's got a name. I think he's just
Oh.
should be hauled away as garbage.
it would have been good to have maybe him too. He would have been good because he's a.
He could have been the guy that loses an arm.
That's true. But yeah, I felt like the Romulan ambassador in this looked a lot like Darwin from Tribbles. Did anybody else get that, or am I just cuckoo nuts?
Remy had a much thinner face.
All right, so that's the first missed opportunity I see.
Okay.
Second missed opportunity. Why are we introducing a new Vulcan a new Vulcan officer when we could have just had
Savik.
Savik?
They meant for it to be Savik originally.
Well, they fucked
And
up by
a lot
not
of
having
people, a lot of people were pissed off. Roddenberry specifically, I know, was pissed off
that they
that wanted it to be Savik. Firstly, Kirstie Alley was too expensive, and having a third, because they weren't even considering Robin Curtis
Well,
anymore.
because she couldn't carry
Having
this
a
role.
third person play Savik would have been absurd. But
Yeah.
also because I think people were uncomfortable with that character development for Savik, because she was like the hope for the future.
But it makes the betrayal so much better because in this movie we're basically told Spock tells us, you are the hope for the future. You're the next generation.
And then they drink from that awesome cup.
and we drink and we share a drink.
I want that cup.
And we're told how virtuous and wonderful she is, and then but she's clearly sketchy throughout.
Yes.
But if it was Savik, we already have good feelings about Savik.
Yeah, but
and
who
her
the fuck would
betrayal
play
burn.
her?
Well,
They'd have to just pony up for Kirstie Alley.
they would have had to get Kirstie Alley.
She was in Cheers at that point. She was fucking pricey.
90, yeah, I guess Cheers was still on probably, but it was close to end. And
And especially because she and Spock have known each other biblically, it just seems like it would be even harsher.
Did you have any other missed opportunities?
no, those are the two big ones that I feel like could have benefited the movie, but I still think it's a great movie. So.
They're
it's-
good points though, especially Savik. I actually would have really liked that.
And as we can see, that was also what they were originally thinking, so it's not too weird.
And yeah, then fuck Roddenberry for not agreeing with that because he's wrong.
Yeah, should they just been like, go, go?
Would you have wanted Robin Curtis again, though?
No.
Would
No,
you have
that would've
paid
ruined-
up for Kirstie Alley?
Yes, I think they should have paid for Kirstie Alley. I think
I think
if they got the actor that played Core instead of Christopher Plummer, they could have saved some money and then used that extra money to get Kirstie Alley.
Yeah, I know
not
the
a bad
money.
point.
Money is always a fucking issue. I know, Nicholas Meyer kept cutting at the budget, and he was getting really angry until they tried to cancel it. Until I guess management at Paramount changed, and then they came back again. And they said, "Oh yeah, you got your extra $2 million. That's fine."
I mean, this is another film also where they used a lot of TNG sets.
Yeah.
True.
They did a better job of disguising them in this one than they did in 5, though.
Yeah, I mean, So you have the mess hall where they have the dinner is the conference room from TNG.
Yep. President's office is 10 forward.
Right, which is not very well disguised. They put up some curtains over the windows, and that's it. And there's obviously a lot of hallways. The transporter room. Engineering, which we don't really get a good view of, is obviously...
Yeah.
And the quarters, Kirk's quarters, it looks like a rearrangement of TNG quarters because the replicator's the same.
Yeah, I'll say I don't know if this is my favorite one, but it's definitely like... it's always back and forth between this and 2 for me. Like, they both definitely come before 4. 4 is a close third, but it's definitely third.
Oh, I'm 4 all the way.
I don't know.
But we open, though, with Praxis kerploding.
Sue having a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Good for Sue.
And that cup of tea breaking.
Do you notice how the whole ship is rattling and, like, there's clearly something wrong, but nobody freaks out until his cup breaks?
Why do they keep having ceramics in a fucking starship? They did that. They had the fucking glass of milk or whatever the fuck Riley was drinking once, and that breaks. It's like, guys, you guys are constantly getting thrust about by things.
Make them out of aluminum. What the fuck?
Transparent aluminum.
Transparent aluminum. That's it. Thank you.
This will even carry over into the Kelvin timeline
Oh, they're
because
fucking idiots.
in Star Trek Beyond, during the opening little montage there, Scotty's drinking out of some very nice china.
They're idiots. I feel like the people in the ISS know better than this, and they've been in space for only a couple of years, way less than these guys should have figured it out.
When you're on a
now.
5-year mission, though, it's probably kind of nice to have a piece of like home instead of just having
that you can
be...
break and then feel bad about later.
You don't have to feel bad about
here's
it.
the
Just
thing, like-
replicate a new one. Who gives a shit?
Most of the time,
it's
starships
not from
aren't
home.
like... It's just,
Just
I mean,
a
they use
reminder.
glass and porcelain on cruise ships, you know?
Yeah, why do they do that?
Because most of the time it's fine. It's only when something really bad happens.
But bad things happen to starships all the time.
Well,
would you bring a nice tea set on a tank?
But the starship isn't a tank. The starship is supposed to be...
Yeah, you don't live in a tank.
I do kind of wonder if in the real Navy they do have like a supply of nice plates for sort of formal occasions. They keep very well padded in boxes for when they're not being used.
I mean, of course they do. I'm sure.
Because certainly I'm sure for their main people they just use like metal and plastic and shit that don't break when it falls.
Yeah, I don't...
The captains probably always eat
I'm
from nice
fine with
plates.
that. I do like the new bridge of the Excelsior better than the old bridge.
Much better. It actually looks like a bridge and not something they threw together in 5 minutes.
Rand is there again.
She is.
Looking cross-eyed as fuck.
Yeah, she was not great. I made a comment saying, Rand, you gotta stick to barista ink, because this does not seem like your line of work.
Yeah, the Excelsior bridge looks good.
Phase her up a cup of coffee.
The Enterprise bridge is significantly more darkly lit than it has been in the previous films.
This
It's
might be my favorite bridge set for the original Constitution class.
I'd have to see
Enterprise.
side-by-side shots, because I don't remember any shit about this.
This one was, I mean, it was dark. It definitely had a more military feel to it.
I did like that for the standing stations. There was like padding along the bottom of the wall. Like if people fell, they'd have something soft to fall into.
Oh, that's funny.
So here's something that I thought was clearly a choice that was very important to somebody on the staff of this film, that I think did not add anything, and B must have driven the editor crazy, is all of the fucking clocks.
I have
There's
always
so
said,
many clocks on the bridge.
whoever had to keep track of continuity of those clocks, bless them, because it usually seems like it's pretty good.
I think there might have been a couple times where it jumped, and maybe one time where it jumped back.
Right.
But
overall...
But like, what did we gain by being able to always tell the time?
No idea.
Can I be real? I didn't even notice there were any fucking clocks
I
on the
didn't
bridge.
either.
Oh yeah, there's shitloads.
It's
There's like
so
3.
distracting to me.
There's one right over the viewer.
Is it
2
Earth
in the
time,
back.
Vulcan time, Romulan time?
No, they're just like it's just the time. So no matter where you're looking, there's the time, and it's
You
not
can
just
ask
it's not
the
just
computer.
like hour minute. It's hour minute second.
Oh, that's harder.
Yeah, there's so many clocks.
It's
and
got to be better than Turbo Lift from last week with going up and seeing the same not Turbo Lift, that going up the fucking turbo shaft.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
When you see the same floor go by twice or 3 times.
I think doesn't the Excelsior also have a bunch of clocks on its bridge?
Probably. I don't know.
Probably the same
Whoever
set,
was
but
in
still.
charge of building the set, or whoever,
It's cruel.
somebody wanted clocks, like
Very badly.
because there was no reason.
This film was like about the passage of time and like handing off and Planning for the future.
I feel like 2 was more about the
I'm
passage of
just
time.
kidding anyway.
Yeah.
I was
And also,
totally kidding anyway.
I mean, I get that it was probably like to add some tension, except we're never told. It's never stated that anything's happening at a specific time.
They have dinner at 17:30.
That's right. That's true.
They beam over.
It was 1930 anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought it was
Yeah.
17.
They beam over at 19:30. There's a brief tour. We don't know exactly when dinner is.
Thought you might like
we know
a tour.
we know it ends at midnight because
It's the chimes.
It ends at midnight because someone turns back into a pumpkin.
No, the chimes. There were chimes when they were beaming off.
Klingons
So
do turn
that we
into
could say
pumpkins at
another fucking
midnight, though.
Shakespeare quote?
Yes.
Fuck you! Fuck you 9 times, Chang.
And now here's the thing. So the title of the movie comes from something that Gherkin says at dinner, where he says the undiscovered country, and then he clarifies to say that he means the future. But maybe I read it. Maybe in the Klingon edition of Hamlet, the undiscovered country means the future. But in the original
You gotta read it in the original Klingon,
English
Jake.
translation of Hamlet, the undiscovered country means the afterlife.
Yeah,
Yep.
death.
Like that's what he's talking about is for in that sleep of death what dreams may come, that's what he's talking about.
Death is in all of our futures.
I feel like Klingon's perception of death is probably very different from
But
humans'
for
perception of
Gherkin
death.
to specifically reference like, oh, it's going to be such a bright future between, but for our peoples when we become friends, it's scary because it's the undiscovered country. But really what he's saying is we're all going to fucking die.
Look, Gherkin was poli-sci. He didn't pay a lot of attention in his literature classes. Chang did, and believe me, was sitting there at dinner, biting his lip, being like,
He didn't understand it.
Ooh, I am gonna kill you so hard.
The fact that other fucking races always have all this information on human culture is weird to me. Like, I know fucking Valeris, being an idiot, out of nowhere is like, 400 years ago, in rebellion against machines, people threw their shoes or sabot into the workings of the machinery.
Sabotage.
Also, by the way, apocryphal, so... Thanks, Valeris, you dum-dum.
Yeah, she's kind of an idiot. Why does she bring that up if she's the one that did it?
She's in the uncomfortable position of being a mole, where you have to somehow... a lot of what Valeris does seem weird, except you do have to consider she has to appear competent to the people she's not really working for, but pretending to. That's one of the hardest things about being a traitor.
Well, the other thing about Valeris is she believes she is doing the right thing.
True.
Like, she does not feel that she's betraying them. She feels like she is saving them from themselves.
Yeah, and if there've got to be some, gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet. And if those eggs happen to be Kirk and McCoy, well, so be it.
Yes.
Don't you dare, McCoy.
He looked so upset when he was on trial. He's like, I tried to save him. I was desperate
You
to
were
save him.
incompetent!
Although-
You were
I
incompetent!
love when he says the thing about, aside from a touch of arthritis, and then someone laughs, and he looks up like,
Tough crowd. Sure to tip your waitress.
He might be one of the only people to ever get a laugh out of a Klingon with a goofy joke like that. I mean, that's a fucking accomplishment, frankly.
I felt like it was a stupid way to phrase the question anyway. Like, what's your medical status? I also wondered if he was asking him, like, if he was in good health.
He kind of
it
was,
didn't even
though.
occur to
It was
me.
kind of twofold.
He was trying to get McCoy to admit to being
Incompetent?
Because of the drink.
Or rather, I think he was
age.
trying to get McCoy to say he wasn't incompetent.
So that he could
Therefore,
prove that
he could trap him into saying, well,
But you've been drinking.
I must have
Yeah.
been... He was either incompetent or intentionally negligent in letting Gherkin die.
Well, yeah, but then his plan, in a way, then was foiled because he's like, I didn't know his fucking anatomy. That doesn't make him incompetent. He still did everything he could. And it worked a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, that was a show trial anyway.
Yeah.
There's no way they were getting out of
Well,
there.
that's true.
I'm gonna say, as someone who hates fucking trial scenes, this trial, the look of it was really good. Like the blue lighting and all the camera angles they picked. I feel like I haven't noticed like choices in framing before this movie.
This movie was done way differently. This
It was
felt
nice.
much more like
it was
a movie.
arty.
It was really
Cause,
nice.
Because yeah, like when you consider the frame of your camera as your canvas, I feel like that's more progressive in terms of what we're used to seeing today. In terms of taking risks with what you're showing.
Yeah.
You feel like they do the waterboarding in the same room, though. Like when there's no trial, you feel like they just do the torture in there as well.
They just unleash
the feel of it.
that dog with the fang mouth.
Yeah, and also like cage fighting. I feel like they do a lot of cage fighting in there. Like
It looks like a coliseum.
Well, that on Kronos, that's called marriage counseling.
I did like the judge with the flint gavel that was sparking.
Oh, the like big sphere thing.
Yeah.
Was that supposed to be a gauntlet, or do you think he's supposed to have a fake hand?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he was clearly like some ancient dude.
He was old as fuck.
So he might have had a metal hand attached
he a
to a
Klingon?
globe.
Yeah. The Klingon High Court.
Why were they tried in Klingon court and not like normal court?
They assassinated the Klingon
They were
Chancellor.
arrested by the Klingons.
What, are you going to let the Romulans try that when the Romulans hate the Klingons?
Aren't you supposed to have like an unbiased like jury of your peers and shit?
Not for
in
Klingons.
Well, here's the thing, but that's an interesting point that you bring up because technically, according to Chang, they were arrested on Federation interstellar charges.
So it should have been Federation court,
it
right?
should have been like a interstellar. It should have been like the Hague. They should have been like on Earth.
Go to a neutral planet.
You have, the United States, and there's U.S. law. And if you get arrested for committing a crime in, I don't know, Tibet, you'll be tried in Tibetan court. Even if you're an American. Like, you don't automatically get tried in your home country. You just get tried wherever you get arrested. But they specifically said that you were being arrested for violation of interstellar law. So on Earth, we have international law, which governs laws that are, like... Generally, it's like crimes against humanity, like genocides and shit like that.
Yeah, you gotta pull some nasty shit to get tried.
Like
is that like the Nuremberg trials?
The Nuremberg trials are where it kind of started. Yeah. So there's a specific court set up in The Hague that is for international crimes like that. So really,
so assassinating the ambassador to the Klingons, you'd think would fall under that category.
Well, I mean, I figure it would be a crime in Klingons to assassinate the Chancellor. Although we find out much later that when you assassinate the Chancellor, you just become the Chancellor, pretty much.
I mean, what it comes down to is, and this even does kind of come up, is just they wanted the Klingons to come to the table, and one of the concessions at the end of the day just seemed to be letting them have Kirk and McCoy.
I think it was the only way that they were going to get the peace talks to continue.
Exactly. So that's why, legality aside, that's what it had to be. They had to keep Azit Burr happy.
That seems kind of shitty for them to be willing to just be like, yeah, you can have them.
Welcome to politics. People are used as political capital all the time.
It seems awfully cynical. I mean, I'm pretty cynical, but I don't know. It just seems shitty.
It was a way to get McCoy into that awesome coat.
And make Klingons laugh.
I mean,
look like the greatest ever. What he was. I did love his reaction to making him laugh.
the needs of the many, like. The Federation is desperate not only for peace, but to help save the Klingon people, because Kronos is going to be dead in 50 years. Not sure how they fixed it, they've never said.
Why can't they leave Kronos? They have ships.
They can, but they need help.
The Federation is desperate to do it, except that everybody who was involved in the conversation seemed to be like, fuck those horrible savages.
Starfleet.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. As far as I can tell, there are only 3 people in the galaxy who actually wanted peace, and it's Spock, Gherkin, and Azbatur.
Is that the president of the
or
Federation?
whatever her name was.
I think the Azit Burr was really into it as much.
Is that the Klingon?
That was the daughter.
The daughter who became Chancellor. I think it wasn't as much she was into it as her father was, so she was going to carry on his...
Yeah, she's going to feel
So I think the people who really wanted it were Gherkin, Spock, Sarek.
Oh yeah, Sarek, of course, the fucking wanker.
And maybe... the Federation president? He seemed kind of...
President Red Foreman?
Yeah.
He was like... I was getting... Aside from not being a horrible creature human being, he kind of reminded me of Trump a little bit. He's got that really bad blonde hair and a really fucking orange face.
What kind of race was he? Was Federation president?
I don't know, but we saw a creature like him on...
was that...
in 4. He was on the...
I was going to say, is that like
Sarek.
17 head from TMT?
See, I said the same thing when I heard about this. I was like, oh, is that 5 head? And Chris was like, nope, not 5 head.
5 head didn't have the big hair and the funny facial hair.
Well, maybe he just hadn't grown it out.
But yeah, this is the first of several appearances of Kurtwood Smith.
Has different roles.
I assume his species is supposed to have trouble with bright light because he's got those funny little dark glasses.
Maybe he's just hungover a lot.
I like to tell myself they evolved from a race of moles.
It didn't look like a mole. It looked like a
evolved
cat.
from.
Look like a kitty cat.
All right, underground kitty cats.
Speaking of being hungover all the time.
Scotty?
Scotty.
Oh.
I feel like Scotty watered down the Romulan ale because it looked really
I said
fucking
the same
pale.
thing! And you know what I said? My explanation?
Yeah?
There's actually a real explanation, but my explanation was that Romulan ale is actually more like how wine used to be in Greece, where you were supposed to do like 1 cup of Romulan ale, or 1 part Romulan ale to like 4 parts water. Because that's how wine used to be, like way back in the day.
Was wine that strong?
I mean, apparently. Either that or they were just pussies.
Yeah, back in the day, they made it very potent.
Yeah, and they would add like 3 or 4 parts water to every part wine. So that was my...
Oh, see, I
that
add
was
juice
my-
sometimes when I do something like that.
Yeah.
Gotta go sangria going.
I said Romulan ale from concentrate when they were drinking it. But what was the real explanation that didn't...
Nerds have since claimed that you can tell the vintage from the color.
Yeah, so the longer
That's
it's
stupid.
been distilling or whatever,
even just the year.
fermenting.
I'm just gonna say it was Budweiser to Bud Light. This was like light Romulan ale.
It was
The
actually
more
Kool-Aid.
refreshing Romulan ale.
It was Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
read.
Oh, yeah, in real life.
Yeah, in IRL it was Kool-Aid.
Yeah, and the
Yum.
food supposedly at that dinner scene was so gross that the actors had trouble keeping it down.
Didn't they say it was like... We read this as well. Didn't they say it was like chicken a la king?
No, it was blue-colored squid, I think.
There was something that was probably made to look like chicken a la king.
Oh,
but
yeah.
okay. I feel to say...
The story I read said Nicholas Meyer promised $20 anytime someone actually ate the stuff.
Oh, that's right.
And Will Shatner walked away with $240 because he just kept asking for an extra $20.
Nice.
Because he kept eating?
Because he kept eating it.
Wow.
Good. I tried to watch the scene to see if anyone was actually eating it. I couldn't see him eating it, so maybe they didn't even make a cut.
There was that one Klingon who was
Like
going...
slapping
his
it
dad.
out.
Do you
Going-
like Shakespeare? Oh. Good job, Uhura. Way to be
A racist.
tactful.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Everyone was so fucking racist.
Everybody was racist.
That scene was so uncomfortable. They nailed that. That was brilliant.
Well, but what I didn't like was after they left for dinner, when randomly this one guy just turns to the other like, they all fucking look the same. And then the other guy was like, yeah, and they smell bad.
And
Those
those were the guys.
Oh, those are the conspirators?
Those
Oh,
were-
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Jake
that's
pointed that out to
hilarious.
me, too.
I didn't catch
That's
that.
why Valeris says, you boys have work to do. Like right after.
Oh, see,
they-
I
Better
thought
get
she
to
was
it.
saying that because she was like, stop being racist pieces of
No,
shit.
she was like, no, get ready to go assassinate them
Yeah.
later.
That's what you're meant to think at the beginning.
I love it. I didn't realize... Well, yeah, of course. But I just didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Asitber had a good point in the dinner scene when they're talking about, inalienable human rights, and she says, see how fucking racist you're being? If you're calling it human rights to us Klingons, then you're being fucking assholes.
Although my favorite bit in that whole dinner scene is,
All the Shakespeare?
well, no, so they're doing all the Shakespeare, and then Chang
fucking
says,
Kirk.
we need breathing room. And Kirk says, Earth, Hitler, 1941 or whatever.
38.
1938. Like, I was like, ooh,
And Spock gives him such a like.
oh, the look.
How dare you
not.
say that about my Fuhrer?
No, it's definitely like a. Oh god.
Oh yeah,
It's
Spock was like, yes, exactly. Oh wait,
it was definitely the perfect like, Jim, do not fuck this up for me face.
yeah.
Well, Spock, it's fucking Spock's fault. Like, he should have known better not to involve Kirk.
Maybe he was trying to teach
But only
Kirk
Nixon
a
could
lesson.
go to China.
Yeah, ancient
Vulcan-
Vulcan proverb there.
Idiots.
Did they actually say it was an ancient Vulcan proverb?
I think he said it's
Spock
an old
does.
saying. He says it's an old saying
About
on
Nixon?
Vulcan.
What?
No, I think it was a joke. I think Spock was making.
Spock
a
needs to
joke.
fucking work
It's not
on
an
his jokes.
old Vulcan saying.
Spock
It's
doesn't
just
know jokes.
he's making a Nixon joke and crediting Vulcan.
I don't know. Cinderella is an old Russian tale now, so that's still great.
That's probably true.
I don't think it's
I know
Russian.
it's German. I think.
Yeah,
I think it's German.
But
I
it's
think
but I
Brothers
mean like
Grimm or
that is
something.
a characteristic of Chekhov,
Which is great.
which
Good
is
for,
I'm
good
glad
for
they
Chekhov.
left that in the character.
And we're still questioning fucking Vulcans lying. A lie? No, it's not a lie.
I mean, they do it twice in this. They do
An error.
there's a lie, no, an error, and then a lie, no, a choice. So
A
you
fact
chose to lie.
The fact that Valeris is the traitor means that they can lie pretty fucking well.
Yeah.
Right,
It's
case
welcome
fucking
myth.
closed.
It's obviously, it's like
Guys,
the
this case has
doctor
been
lies,
closed for like
Vulcans
10
lie.
years.
We know this.
Yeah.
But,
So, because we're kind of skirting the area anyway, we do have to talk about the super uncomfortable forced mind meld.
Oh,
Yeah.
the brain rape.
Oh, that's what I called it also.
Yeah.
It was so uncomfortable. So, like, the thing is, like, I knew he was going to do it, and I was like, uh-oh. And then she struggled away, and I was like, I am super, super uncomfortable right now.
But I like that they did show how uncomfortable it was for every
Yeah, the film definitely wasn't in favor of the characters.
I don't know.
Obviously,
Kirk didn't seem that bothered. He's like, tell her to give me more information. Kirk wasn't bugged.
Well, he wanted to know. Well, so here's actually what's stupid, and I'll
ready.
admit this.
Give it to me. I'm
that
ready.
yes, assuming that she's the only source of the information for what they needed to know to literally save
the president, and the peace talks.
Okay, you do what you have to do, which potentially means mind raping somebody to suck out their knowledge. Okay, it's uncomfortable. I don't know why we had to do it in the middle of the bridge and make everybody watch, and clearly Uhura and Scotty were not cool with it. But whatever. We do what we have to do. Except then, when it doesn't work, the very next thing, Spock's like, never mind, we'll just call up the Excelsior, literally, they didn't need that information from her because Sulu
Yeah,
knew.
and why the fuck would she know the location of the peace talks? I get asking
because her little friends were there, so they could have told her.
When would they have told her? She's on the fucking Enterprise.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I don't know, like an interplanetary text message. I don't know, it's the future, for fuck's sake. No idea.
I mean, they got the names of the other conspirators, which is useful, but not... The most important thing right now is getting the location. But I thought that was kind of interesting, and I assumed sort of on purpose, is they've crossed this line, and there was no reason to have crossed it.
Yeah.
It seemed to me a statement against that sort of thing. I assume the seeming pointlessness of it was very much on purpose. Just to say, this kind of thing is dumb.
Well, and also it was sort of showing Spock's human side, because now Spock is personally pissed off and personally betrayed.
Oh, when he smacks the phaser out of her hand, I love that.
Yeah,
I expected her to slap her in the face.
Well,
he feels very personally betrayed by her. Well, but remember at the beginning of the movie, he says to her, I sponsored you through the academy. I've watched your career. You are going to replace me.
Is Spock the Phantom of the Opera?
I could only
Seems
succeed
a little
you.
weird.
Yeah, but it's clear. That's why again, it makes sense that that the part was originally intended to be Savick because that is basically the relationship. And then Spock would have the bonus of and we banged.
How many creepy Vulcan lady ingenues does he sponsor?
Well,
apparently at least 2.
Savick didn't work out, so let's try again.
So he's feels very personally connected to her. So her betrayal is, I think, really, really gets to him.
Yeah, it stings.
Yeah,
very human of him to use force.
And then he's all mopey.
He's back in his I just came back from the dead robes, which he apparently kept.
His brooding robes.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it wasn't just a Batman costume.
Kylo from Star Wars has some brooding robes.
Kylo Ren.
So, what is it at this point in time that makes Starfleet so obsessed with gaseous anomalies?
Yeah, because the Excelsior was doing gaseous anomalies,
and so was the Enterprise. Apparently,
I wondered about when I first watched the movie. I missed that detail and thought that they were just using McCoy's heartbeat monitor. Because of course you would, because he's always got his heartbeat monitor on him.
Well, so here's a little fan theory.
Okay.
So we know that the Excelsior was working out by Beta Quadrant, which.
Yep.
If I'm remembering my stellar cartography, is close to Romulan space.
I think
check Google Maps.
Pretty sure Romulans are beta quadrant.
I'll look that up now.
So I'm going to say that the gaseous anomaly was actually a cover story that the equipment on the Enterprise, as well as what the Excelsior was doing, was testing stuff to detect cloaked ships.
No, maybe.
So that's why they were out by Beta Quadrant. They were looking to detect some Romulans that were cloaked.
Actually, both the Klingons and the Romulans have territory in the Beta Quadrant.
There you go.
And we both got cloaked.
So I'm going to say that this whole gaseous anomaly thing, bullshit. I mean, yes, it tracks gaseous anomalies, but the gaseous anomalies it was trying to track was exactly what they used.
Do the captains know about this, do you think?
Possibly. I mean, they were clearly the parts for their machinery was obviously designed to fit in a torpedo casing.
There we go. This all goes back to my joke from, I think, the first or second episode of this show, where I said that Christian Slater was secretly Section 31. And you were like, but what would he be doing there? That's what he was doing there. Full circle, podcast canceled. Good night, everyone.
I like that you have it memorized that you said this.
I
in the first or second episode.
I re-listened to it recently. But, Yeah, that's a pretty good explanation, because, I mean, this is the first time I really thought about it, that, the Excelsior was apparently spending 3 years mapping gaseous anomalies, and the Enterprise has equipment for detecting, what?
Yeah, they're just trying to find cloaked ships, and they find out that just as the Klingons invent the cloak that you can fire while cloak.
Yeah.
Federation has perfected their cloak-seeking
Missiles,
torpedo, which they never use again.
Nope.
This seems like an awesome counter to the cloaking device.
Well, I mean, keep in mind the Klingons don't even bother. I know that was the prototype, but they apparently did that have all the research and the scientists that invented the cloak you can fire with.
Let's explain that away in universe and say that one of the tenets of the
Khitomer
Treaty is that the Klingons do not further pursue that technology.
Well, it's not just that, they're broke. Isn't that the whole point, that they're
That was the thing, yeah. They're
in the movie that
they spend so much on the military.
Yeah, that could also be it. They just don't have money to keep doing the research.
You really think the Romulans, though, would just go, no such tenant on us.
Although the Romulans, I'm pretty sure the Treaty of Algeron, which is the treaty that prevents the Federation from developing cloaking technology.
What series is that?
I think it's referenced in TNG, but it's in place I think it's the treaty that ended the Romulan War that happened before the original series.
Okay.
That's referenced in Balance of Terror.
Okay.
So the treaty that ended that war, which was negotiated over voice communication, part of that prevented the Federation from developing cloaking technology. Terrible idea.
Yeah. Everybody else does it.
Everybody else does it. And it's a huge disadvantage.
Just the Romulans and Klingons. And the Dominion, do they have cloaks?
No, but
What's a Dominion?
You'll get to
DS9.
it. Speaking of great cloaks, we
They
go to
have
River
personal
Penthe.
cloaks.
And
Yeah,
River
we have
Penthe,
River
everyone's
Penthe.
wearing fucking furs.
Lots of cloaks.
Looking fucking great. Iman is gorgeous.
Yes, she is.
Especially when
those
she's like
contacts.
a giant monster man.
That was my favorite.
Yeah, same. What are you saying?
They did a great job with the morph, too, between giant monster and tiny girl.
For the time, that
Looked
was
good.
really good. Holds up.
How come when no matter what shape she is, her voice is always the same and her eyes are always yellow?
Except when she's Kirk.
Except when she's Kirk.
I don't know. I feel like
Kirk probably didn't want to have weird contacts in his face.
I feel like when she was the giant monster thing and the little girl, she did the normal Iman voice so that Kirk and McCoy would know it was her.
Yeah.
And she was doing that on purpose.
Yeah.
So you're saying she's capable of shapeshifting.
That's my assumption.
And changing her voice, but she does it to make them feel comfortable. Maybe
Or at least let them know.
I'll buy that.
Even their voices.
She claims it takes a lot of energy to be in a different shape. I don't know how much I believe that.
I mean, she had a big old Kirk fight and was fine.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but she probably has to you have to realign all your molecules and shit. How easy could that be?
I don't know.
Well, what's interesting though is that by the time we get to DS9, apparently changelings, shapeshifters are so rare that Odo is considered the only one.
Yeah,
That's a changeling. She's a cameloid.
Yeah, but it's the same difference, right? I mean, it's a thing that
maybe
it
you
changes
can,
its form.
Maybe you can.
What about Salt Vampire? And also McCoy being confused that there was a shapeshifter is stupid because Nancy.
Well, Nancy, Garth of Izar, the species that taught him how to shapeshift.
The Vendorian from TAS.
Well,
that's just further evidence that
Them?
they
No
just
way.
wanted to bury the original series.
but yeah, maybe something about that is just maybe these ones can be told that they're fake more easily.
Maybe.
There's something about it.
I am bothered by the fact that they're called cameloids, which I assume is meant to be a reference to
Chameleon?
chameleons,
Yeah.
when she's obviously not from Earth, and what is a chameleon and why?
They do shit like that all the time.
I know, but today it bothers me.
The Romulans.
Alright, Romulus and Remus, right?
And their whole society is structured kind of like Rome.
Yeah, I know, but it's just, this one bothered me for whatever reason. I was just really bothered by it.
Yeah.
Repente.
The shots were actually...
Alien's graveyard. Why did Chekhov have to say that?
Because the audience didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it was obvious that it was a bad place you don't want to go.
And because Chekhov had very little to do otherwise.
That's
Yeah, they didn't give him much to do, the poor bastard.
Throughout the galaxy.
He was good with what he was doing, though.
He did take a line from Uhura because she refused to say
Well, who can
look who's
blame
coming
her?
to dinner.
Who can blame her, though?
Yeah.
You know?
Because racism.
Although Chekhov did have some of the best lines in this film. I thought, look who's coming to dinner. was a good line, despite being a reference to a racist movie.
And being cheesy as fuck.
But I thought it was fine. I thought it was a fun line. I thought it was a fun joke.
All right,
It was
go
a
on.
good
It
delivery.
was a
What
good
else?
joke. It was a good checkout joke. And then only the size of my head
That was good.
was also
Yeah.
good.
That was good. Good
Okay.
job, Walter.
But speaking of Uhura, can we talk about
here
how
it
her
comes.
character got annihilated in this movie? Again, poor Nichelle.
Can't do her job. She's almost as
She's
bad as
so
Rand.
bad at her job.
Oh, that's right.
She can't even fake saying some simple phrases in Klingon without flipping through books.
Without
literal books.
comedy research
And not like
on the
punch
deck.
up on the computer, Google Translate this shit for me.
If the implication is that, the Klingons would know if we were using a translator device to talk with them, why can't they still use the translator device when they have it on mute, figure out what they're saying, figure out how to say it back, and then do that?
Well, and I get that the Klingons would know if they were using a translator back to them, but the Klingons surely couldn't have told if they were using a translator to listen to them.
Yeah.
Also-
they had translator devices. They look like giant fucking coconuts in the fucking court scene.
Well,
They
and
had
that's
translators.
The thing, they've had translators before that were just... We never see them. We don't know where they are. They're tiny. Suddenly, this is the one time. It's like, here's a thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's implied that the universal translator works like a Babel fish.
Yeah, that's always what I
device.
figured.
But yeah, but then they say that universal translator was confiscated.
Yeah, on Brewer Pente, which fair enough.
Which makes sense that it was confiscated. So okay, speaking of confiscating shit, okay, so Kirk and McCoy get their universal translators confiscated. They don't get their uniforms confiscated with the fucking tracking device
True.
attached to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, they would have put them in other uniforms. They just put a coat over what they were
Like,
already
why?
wearing.
I'm pretty sure when you go to jail, they like strip you and delouse you and issue you a jail uniform.
Nah, they're not going to bother with any of that shit. That just costs more money,
Look up
probably.
your asshole with a flashlight, okay?
Well, Klingons like louse, so...
That's true. But I find it hard to believe that
Lice.
from the time... because the thing that
One
Spock
single
put
mouse.
on Kirk's back, it was obvious. Like,
Yeah.
there's
just
obviously
have one.
a fucking thing on Kirk's back.
Yeah, I saw it once because I didn't realize that's what it was, and it just looked like, they have a piece of Velcro there, and it looks like it's a mistake. But then
Yeah.
you learn later, that's what the thing
But
is.
it's not on McCoy's outfit. So the Klingons should have been like, what's that? Oh, it's sending out signals. Yeah, it's probably fine. Make sure you take their translator, though, for no reason.
Should have just given him a necklace to track him.
Yeah. You know what they should have done? He should have put something in his butthole.
There we go.
Suppository.
Oh,
his
he
tongue.
put something up his butthole, alright.
Yeah.
Back to Uhura, though, and Chris, you made this point when we were talking about it. Why doesn't she just know how to speak Klingon? She's a
Right.
fucking communications
You
officer.
would think that.
And that's the enemy.
Yeah, we do a lot of interacting with the Klingons.
I mean, the biggest problem with that scene, more than the stupidity with the translation and all this other stuff, is that the Klingons have a frontier scanning station that can tell when a ship is coming, but can't tell anything beyond that.
a ship, but not whose it is.
Even though later, Chang has a scanner that gives him little 3D images, you can't just tell they're Federation ships, you can see one is the Enterprise and one is the Excelsior.
Yeah.
You think... I get, maybe if you had, a station deep within Klingon space, maybe you're less worried. But this one is on the frontier. You think that one would have the nice scanners.
These are the TSA agents of the Klingon Empire, man.
No, these are supposed to be the fucking Border Patrol, though, not the TSA.
They're still
Same
high
thing,
on meth.
probably.
Fair enough. They were getting shit-faced.
I mean, they're confiscating all the contraband that comes across the border, and they're using it.
And also, how did they not stop her with that fucking horrible Klingon? I feel like with the fucking awful job she was doing and looking at their confused faces at the fucking translation that was
And the
coming
extra.
across,
Yeah.
how did they even get through with that? I feel like they wouldn't.
I like that it took Chekhov to just go, fuck it, just laugh. They're clearly laughing. Let's all laugh.
Ah! 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 Fucking Thermian laugh.
Thermian? I don't remember.
The
The-
Thermians
Oh
jealousy
my
test.
god! Yeah, sorry, I forgot for a second that Thermian.
You are our only hope. That was terrible. I'm sorry.
We need your help.
There is one aspect of I get the whole thing of, these people sort of lived with this specific power structure in the galaxy for this long, are afraid to let it go. I get that. That's fine. So I feel like this whole thing about, are we going to disassemble the Starfleet, is unnecessary for two reasons. Not just because, that one guy says, we're still going to have the exploration thing, but two, just because the Klingons go away doesn't mean you don't still have enemies.
Yeah, there's lots of baddies out there.
There's
Fine.
still, the Romulans, who even though they seem to be on decent-ish terms with the Federation right now, because they're just chilling out in the president's office, you're still like, what?
Well, especially once the Klingons are in the mix, isn't there going to be more problems probably with the Romulans?
Maybe.
Well, yeah, Romulans and
Potentially.
Klingons don't get along.
Not at all.
So I just mean, then you've got even more.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, the Romulans probably have the most to lose from this alliance between the Federation and the Klingons. So, if anything, another cool plot twist they could have thrown in there was to make Valeris a closet Romulan.
Ooh.
Yeah, because otherwise, I mean, it's easy to not realize that the Romulan ambassador was involved.
Mm.
Like, they mention his name and they point a phaser at him at the end, but I don't think it's really made plain that, like, he was in on it too, right along with Cartwright and a couple other people.
This is where Saavik, being half Vulcan, half Romulan, would have come into play if Saavik had been in this movie.
Yeah.
And if they had done it,
Yeah, but they could have made Valeris a Romulan, and that could have been a reveal at the end.
Why were all the fucking conspirators aliens, female, or the only black officer attending a Starfleet bigwigs meeting about how to hang out with the Klingons?
Okay, well, that's actually interesting because I don't know what version you guys watched, but we watched the Blu-ray, which apparently cuts all of the Colonel West.
Yeah,
Did you have Colonel West in yours?
What's a Colonel West?
Yeah, no, he was cut.
He was cut in yours too?
So, because I actually
Was he also black or an alien? Or
No, he was actually Odo.
Rene Auberjonois.
So there was, we own the DVD, and that does have all the stuff on it, but we were watching it at a friend's, and they were watching on Hulu, and Hulu has all that stuff cut.
Mm. Well, so, every time I'd seen the movie on home video, VHS, DVD, or anything like that, it always had these Colonel West scenes in it. So now to fill you two in, especially on what Colonel West is, there's another conspirator that we see in the previous home video releases that was played by Rene Auberjonois, who plays Odo on DS9.
Who's white.
Mm-hmm. And he plays a colonel in Starfleet. I didn't know that was a rank in Starfleet. I guess it is now.
They still have the Makos, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. So he plays a colonel. I think because it's supposed to be like a Ollie North reference. So
maybe.
But at any rate, we first see him in a scene where they're trying to plan a rescue mission to get Kirk and McCoy.
The rather brilliantly named Operation Retrieve. Great name, guys.
Wait, was he on the Enterprise or
No, in the president's office.
Okay, in the president's office.
But then the second time we see him is at the end, after the unsuccessful assassination attempt of the president, and Scotty shoots him and he falls out the window. They peel off a rubber mask off that assassin.
Are you fucking kidding?
And it's And it's Colonel West.
Stop.
What
the fuck? Good. I'm glad they cut this Scooby-Doo bullshit.
Because exactly, and it was not in the theatrical release. It was only in the home video release.
Yeah.
And and my theory on why it's not in the Blu-ray release, because like I say, I don't even think it was in direct. Like, it wasn't like a director's cut thing. Every home video release that I've ever seen had those scenes. So I was like, where are those scenes? Where's the rubber mask? And then I thought, well, maybe, and here's my theory, and maybe someone who knows more about Hollywood and stuff like that can tell me this, but here's my theory.
Get your tinfoil hats ready.
Is that when they made the transfer in the early 90s for home video, they included those scenes that had been cut. So they made a transfer,
like
but
by mistake.
Right. Well, when you make a home video release, you scan the movie, the film of the movie. You scan it and then into a computer or whatever, and then you can create VHS cassettes or laser discs or DVDs or Blu-rays. But my guess is that original scan of the film was probably low resolution. It was probably what they call 480p, which is DVD resolution, and Blu-ray resolution, not Blu-ray, Laserdisc. Well, VHS is, I think, 480i interlaced. But at any rate, so it was a low resolution transfer.
Sure.
They're not words,
so,
Caitlin.
Blu-ray, which has to be 1080p, which is HD, needed a new transfer. But the only source they would have available, perhaps, for that, the only completed source they might have had for that was a film print.
The theatrical.
A theatrical film print in storage. Now, the other option, and what a lot of movies do, is they issue what they call a remaster. So whenever you see her like remastering, that means that they actually went to the film negatives out of the camera and recompiled the movie basically from scratch.
Oh, neat.
Sometimes they even redo effect shots, like in TNG. Well, the TNG has been remastered. So although like a lot of the effect shots of like lasers and shit like that in TNG.
Yeah, TOS was too, right? They
they remastered TOS.
They did that for Netflix.
So it's like super time consuming because they have to recut everything together. So with movies, a lot of times they'll do a remaster and sell it if they think they can make a shitload of money. But my guess is that the Blu-ray that they released was not a remaster; it was just a scan of the theatrical film print, and
that makes sense.
That's why Old Westy isn't included.
Old Westy.
Yeah, I remember I was reading because Jake wrote a great piece for our Tumblr, which everyone should check out, about the worst admirals in Starfleet. And I reread it recently because it included Admiral Cartwright from this movie.
Yep.
And there was a reference you made to Rubber Mask. And I remember reading this, looking to you and being like, what Rubber Mask are you talking about? And you're like, that's because it's not in this version.
Yeah. And like, aside from the fact that the Rubber Mask is really stupid. And
it sounds stupid. It does sound stupid.
But aside from that, I did kind of like the idea that Sisko's dad and Odo team up for a...
That's true. That's kind of funny.
Because the guy that plays Cartwright later plays...
That's right.
Ben Sisko's dad.
I've seen when we were in London last year, I saw one of the few episodes I assume he shows up in. Is Sisko's dad in the show a lot?
No, not much. He's in a few episodes.
Yeah,
but he was in it.
Like a half dozen episodes total.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing, too, is like the fact that Cartwright just bursts in to suggest Operation Retrieve is all fine and good, but again, the Romulan ambassador hasn't left the room. The Romulans seem to be on oddly good terms with the Federation at this point, with no explanation. It's very bizarre.
Regarding Operation Retrieve and, Kirk managing to escape so that he can, get beamed back to the Enterprise and blah-de-blah-de-blah, well, all works out nicely for everybody except Iman. What the fuck was the plan to assassinate him in prison? The conspirators tell Iman, her name is Marcia in the movie, I'll keep calling her Iman because it's great, get him outside so that we can kill him in a fake escape attempt.
Except not really fake.
And also we'll kill you too, because that's what you do.
No witnesses!
And somehow she's not onto that. What the fuck was that plan? Why not just keep him in prison?
Well, and also, it was obvious that he was going to get murdered by another inmate. She even said there's a reward out for your death.
Yeah. They had to make it look like an accident.
Yeah, so he was almost in a fight with the guy when he first got there who wanted his coat.
Yep.
Krandok or something. No, that was like, shut up.
Yeah.
Krandok! Anyway, so he was almost in a fight with Krandok who wanted his coat, and then he was in a fight with Nenads.
Nenads.
Also, that's fucking stupid. Yeah. Having your genitals in your knees is unintuitive.
And also having them fucking glow like the fucking weak point on an enemy in a video game where you're supposed to shoot them. Also kind of dumb.
But yeah, like they could have just easily had him get killed in that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no reason to orchestrate this weird fake escape attempt.
Although I do like that they sort of subverted the whole like monologuing villain thing. Because he's about to monologue, but then they beam him out.
Good trope. Guys.
That was actually
that's funny.
You couldn't have got here a minute later.
Like, why even let him get to the point where he was beyond the beaming shield before you did that? Like, she could have just said to him, "Okay, we're beyond the beaming shield now."
There was
like, what was he gonna do? Check?
There's plenty of frontier, where they could have grabbed them.
Yeah. Although filming on wherever they filmed some glacier or whatever.
Alaska.
Was it Alaska? It was cool. It was a cool vistas.
Yeah.
They're trudging through.
It was beautiful. And it obviously was not the actual actors.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, you're not going to get Shatner out on a glacier.
I don't know. Maybe there's another mountain in Alaska he can make love to.
Last week they threw him off El Capitan, so...
Yeah, but that's probably because he wanted to do that.
So, another thing, this is sort of a minor thing, but it just was something I noticed last night. I never thought of it before, but when the Excelsior is rushing to try to help the Enterprise at Camp Kittimer? But yes, they're racing over there, and Sulu's like, give it more speed, and some guy's like, it'll shake us apart. It's like, then let it shake us apart, or whatever. Yeah. Wasn't this the ship that was supposed to be the test bed for transwarp drive?
How fast is transwarp supposed to go?
Faster than warp.
Well,
Faster than a speeding bullet.
Okay, two thoughts on that. So either A, transwarp was not a success.
No, that's true, but they hoped it would be.
And they took it out and they replaced it with a regular warp drive. Or transwarp was a success and they upgraded all of the ships in the fleet to have transwarp drives. Either way, the Excelsior now is no faster than any other ship.
Oh yeah, but
and you can easily fly her apart.
That's what I mean, though. It's like, if it was supposed to be the test bed for this hyper-fast thing, shouldn't it have not been easy to fly apart? That's my issue.
Yeah.
It just seems weird.
He's got to be going like super, super fast because he's like somewhere farther away than Kirk.
Yeah.
Trying to get to the same place at the same time Kirk gets there, and Kirk's getting there pretty quick.
I mean, we know they're floating around Beta Quadrant.
Because they were near Praxis, or near enough to Praxis.
Yeah, and we know that Kittimer is near the Romulan border, because they say that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he might have still been
He
in the
might have
general
not been
vicinity.
too far away. And also why he knew the location of the peace talks.
Sulu?
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense to me either.
And why did he?
know.
Like,
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
they're super secret, but just some rando captain happens to know what's going on.
I
I
like
was-
Sulu though.
Yeah, me too. I have a stupid question. Do we ever know what did happen to Praxis? Did they explain it and I
Overmining,
just
they
missed
said.
it? Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. They did say
Overmining
that.
and like bad
Safety.
Still,
regulations.
Like,
that's some really bad
Yeah,
mining.
OSHA would have a word with you.
Like,
It's not like the building burned down or like somebody, like a box fell on somebody's head. No, an entire planet exploded.
and then it was
Oh, no.
totally not a painting on the Excelsior's screens.
Yeah, that was
That was not.
kind of shit.
It was, yeah, that was bad.
So speaking of Camp Kittimer, we meet Worf's, what is this, his grandfather or some
Yeah,
shit?
played by Michael Dorn.
Played by Michael Dorn and never established who the fuck he was because they still call him, what?
Colonel
Worf.
Colonel
Oh, the
Worf.
Colonel.
Everyone was a colonel.
And I was-
general.
My first watch through, I had no idea what the fuck was going on. I'm like, why the fuck is Worf here? This is very
They
confusing.
I
hallucinate?
mean, his ridges were different.
Well, I
knew it wasn't war. Well,
Did you? I know his hair was
know
longer.
Worf's ridges as well as I do. You can see
Well,
a
in that
Klingon's
case-
ridges are like his fingerprints.
Well, in that case, you know, they could also make up him better so he doesn't just look like Michael Dorn.
Well, why they hired Michael Dorn
It's because
defies.
TNG was out and people loved TNG.
Yeah, but still, it felt like needless. Like, ooh, look, it's Michael Dorn.
There was a lot of crossover.
Everything is
though.
connected.
Like they also connected it because at roughly the same time they had Spock go guest on TNG in whatever that episode was.
Reunification.
That sounds right. Specifically so that they could come out roughly at the same time and they could be like, look, it's crossover time. I really liked how during the scene when they're calling whoever to come record statements from the two dead guys. Court reporter, that we just see lots of little different visuals of other people on the ship doing their jobs.
Yeah, like the cooks.
We see the cooks, we see the guys setting the silverware, we see some guys like mopping or feeding the whales or whatever you do.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
felt bad for the porters. Can you imagine, like, going through Starfleet or whatever and becoming the asshole?
I
who
don't
sets the
think he went.
tables?
Well, that's the thing. They don't really establish this so much in the original series of the movies, but it does become very clear later in Star Trek that there are enlisted members of Starfleet that aren't so Starfleet Academy is like West Point.
Yeah.
It's like you're like the people that go to Starfleet Academy are like the best of the best, and they're the ones that become the commanders and the captains. And
Except the ones who suck, who sneak through anyway.
well, right, and then you
Finney.
get people
And
like
Finney.
Barclay.
Oh my god, Finney. I wrote twice in my notes without even realizing that I'd written it already. Finney's totally the sabotager, right?
Yeah.
It's totally Finney, right? In all caps.
That
it's
would have
Finney,
been
right?
fucking... Yep, there it is.
Yeah.
Can confirm. That would have
So-
been hilarious, actually.
So the people that we see on the ship, the cooks, and probably like a lot of the schlubs in engineering and the porters and the yeomen possibly, they're basically just enlisted people that are like, I want to work in space, but I'm not very skilled and I don't have the brains to go to the academy.
And I don't have the money to go to the academy probably either.
Yeah, I don't have the connections, which is what that
Actually, yeah, how do you keep people out of Starfleet Academy if money isn't a thing?
Well,
Dum-dums.
with tests, and there's a TNG episode where we see how fucking smart you have to be to go to the academy. Like, you have to be a fucking smart ass.
So here's a question.
Or at least Kirk, who can make things...
Or Kirk, where you can, or Kirk with
smartass.
Kirk. See, that's a thing that pisses me off about the Kelvin movies to no end. Is that in the Kelvin movies they imply that everybody in Starfleet goes to Starfleet Academy, including the dum-dums like Buttercup there or whatever.
Yeah.
Cupcake.
And also...
Or is it Buttercup? You might be right.
I can't remember. Either way, he's a dum-dum. There's no way that guy got into Starfleet. And that also that, like, Kirk got into Starfleet just by knowing Captain Pike.
Just by
being in a fight.
Now, being fair, though, have you heard of the Ivy League?
Yeah, it's true. But yeah,
maybe
maybe
it's one of those things where, like, everyone is there for their first year, and if you're a dum-dum, you get the boot.
I don't know.
And you just, like, get sent immediately to be enlisted and probably killed somehow.
Possibly. But either way...
But, yeah, no, Kirk
porters
had
and stuff, like, they didn't go to college to be porters. They went to the recruitment office and, like, they were like, oh, you get to see crazy places.
Being fair, the porters actually might have gone to, like, a school of hospitality, because there's good money in that.
I was going to say, I'm wondering if they have, like, specialized catering services. There's, like, special catering staff that is put on spaceships, starships.
Actually...
Yeah,
you know, thinking on it now, you probably do have to train the cooks pretty carefully, because if in theory they're serving a huge population that has all sorts of species on it, you actually might want your cooks to, like, maybe not
lots of allergies.
Know how to make that blue squid perfect.
Yeah, like, it's actually probably a real son of a bitch to be cooking staff on a Starfleet vessel. It's like, all right.
What did the Ferengi eat?
Right, it's like, wait,
beetles and shit? Oh.
Which species gets killed by salt again? The slugmen? Right, fuck.
Well, and also, like, it also brings into play a lot of different, like, probably, like, holidays and religions
Slugmen.
And, like, I mean, I would assume... You know, there are still restrictions on what people can and can't eat based on that sort of thing. And, and again, allergies like celiac, you know, probably.
I'd like to think we'd have that beat by the 3rd century.
We might, but the whole rest of the universe.
That's true.
You know, it's.
I mean, then again, there's still Retinax allergies, so who knows?
And there's also replicated food. Like,
True.
the fact that they are cooking makes me think that perhaps there is...
Are they cooking or are they really plating right now, though?
I mean, it looked like they had a big pot of mashed potatoes. That
Valeris vaporizes because somehow Chekhov...
Oh, is that what it was supposed to be? Was mashed potatoes?
It looked like mashed potatoes.
Yeah, no, you're right. I just, like, when I saw it, I was like, what the fuck is holding its shape so perfectly right now?
Also, let's just
shoot
those
something
mashed
in the middle. Are a little too stiff.
Yeah, let's just shoot something in the middle of a crowded kitchen is a good idea, you stupid
Also, does that
idiot.
imply that if you shoot somebody with a phaser set to vaporize, that only their clothes disappear?
No, that's
why
not
did
how
the
that works.
contents of the pot
that doesn't actually make sense. Also, actually, now I'm really fucking nitpicking, but here we go.
That's what this show is.
There's a very... pots aren't the thickest things in the world, but those potatoes should have dropped a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
That's true.
But here's so perhaps, like, there is a mess hall where you can eat, you know, whatever they've cooked for the day, and that's just served.
Yeah.
And then, but there's also replicators, like, you can go and get yourself some food cubes.
Yeah, well, like if you need a snack during the day. It's like, to go back to the cruise ship metaphors, you know, you can have dinner at 6 or 8, or you can eat any of the gobs of free food that the cruise ship has for you during the day.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you came across this, but one thing I never thought of before in this most recent watch was the scene with the opening and the Excelsior added later.
No, I don't think so. Why, the drinking tea scene?
Yeah, because
there was originally a different opening. I'll say that.
Okay,
want me to go into that
in a second? Because here's the reason I was wondering. Because something that seemed really weird to me was that, like, you know, when they're all going into the big racist meeting at the opening, you know, and
that opening.
And Uhura's like, "Oh, I'm supposed to be at the academy." Sky's like, "I'm doing this," and McCoy's like, "Where the hell is Sulu?" And it's like, and Kirk has to go, "Oh, Captain Sulu on assignment." And it's like, McCoy, how did you know your old shipmate how did you not know he'd become a captain and has been doing it for years? Like, that seemed weird. That line only...
he's getting old.
That line seemed to only exist for...
Incompetent!
That
you
line
look damn good, though, still.
Mm-hmm.
That scruff? Yeah.
That line seemed to exist only for the audience.
Of course.
To let us know where Sulu was, except we just had an opening scene that let us know where Sulu was.
Well, that's why he's not at the meeting, though.
Wait, that's the thing. So he probably knew he wasn't obviously still on the Enterprise. He just didn't know why he wasn't there.
Now, what has the Enterprise been doing for the past 3 years?
Dicking around.
Let me tell you about that.
Oh, yes, good, thank you.
So there used to be a whole prologue to the movie that got cut for budgetary reasons and stuff. That was going to be, you tell Kirk we need to go run this errand, basically. Corral your crew. And so just like person by person, grabbing them from wherever they're at and showing what they've been up to for the past time. So let me tell you what they've all been up
all
to.
hiking at Yosemite.
Kirk
Eating
has been
beans.
banging Carol Marcus because they're a thing again.
Thought she was dead.
No, David's dead.
No, that was in an early draft we were reading about last night.
Oh, okay.
Carol Marcus was supposed to.
There was a draft where Carol Marcus had passed on, and
2 of what?
of this,
Of
of
this.
6. And that was also part of the reason he was so bent out of shape, not just because of the whole David's death thing, but like that wound has been reopened because now David's mother is also passed.
Oh, damn.
But it sort of makes sense that he'd be banging Carol Marcus, too, because he's trying to make up for...
Lost time.
And maybe try to pound another baby out of her, but I think it's probably too late for that.
Far
Yeah,
too
that's
late.
a little,
So
that's a
you're
little
saying-
late. Yeah, so McCoy was drunk at a benefit in his honor because he is not taking civilian life well again.
Oh, poor
Uhura hosts a call-in show for advice.
I kind of love that. I mean, I hate it because
No,
it's stupid, but...
I much prefer to think she's a teacher at the academy. That is far more dignified.
yeah,
Chekhov
but there's probably
has been-
great money in the call-in show. There's no money.
I don't know.
It's probably more fun than
I
teaching.
don't know. Chekhov has been touring playing chess tournaments.
Oh, because he's Russian! I love that!
Was he going to be good at it? Because I kind
I
of hope he
can't
was.
tell. I can't tell if he was supposed to be good at it or if he was trying to like just use the Russian technique or whatever it
I
is.
love that. I love that so much. I figured you were gonna say, cleaning floors,
Oh no.
mopping somewhere.
Sulu was a taxi driver.
What? Okay. Wait. Why are the 2 people of color doing these bullshit jobs? Why is he a fucking cab driver? That would never happen.
Well, maybe it's like
So
a space
shrill right
cab
now.
driver. Maybe he's like, maybe not like literally like driving a cab around the streets like we think. Maybe he's like taking people to Mars because he's a navigator.
Yeah, so far, Uhura and Sulu did much better in this version of the film.
Yeah, I mean, and Scotty is still fairly in character because he's teaching at the teaching engineering at the academy, and
Okay.
using the Klingon ship that they just dragged out of the bay to try to like figure out what their cloaking device is and how to recreate
Well, that
it.
sounds
and failing
right.
miserably.
That sounds right for Scotty.
Yeah.
God damn it! Why did Uhura and Sulu get so fucked?
Yeah, that's fucking dumb.
That really makes me mad.
Also, I mean, like, hey, let's reassemble the whole crew in a lengthy prologue. Motion picture much?
And also,
Well,
hey,
Star Trek
let's
5 much.
That too.
let's make really racist choices in a film about racism.
Yeah, no, I think we definitely went out with the brief opening on the Excelsior, and let's all just get in the meeting room. Fine.
Yeah, so the only other stuff that I wanted to talk about is not at all related to this movie, but the movie that they were planning before they picked Undiscovered Country, because Harv Bennett, as usual, got fucking hit in the face. He was planning, as whatever the next movie after 5 would be, to be a pre-Starfleet prequel with a young cast, because young casts are cheaper, and because, Shatner and everybody else is fucking expensive. I guess,
Which is
DeForest Kelly made like $1 million on this movie so that he could retire nicely.
Nice.
Good for him. He's a sweetheart.
Well,
so there you go.
Which is kind of hilarious based on like what big stars get paid today.
Oh, yeah.
I know there's inflation and stuff, but it's like $1 million,
Like, none of
big
these-
fucking deal.
With the exception of really Shatner, none of these people had much else going on.
Spock did a lot. Nimoy.
Yeah.
Some
A lot of
acting,
work.
but also like other things.
I guess.
Yeah, they had to milk this for what
And
it was
also DeForest Kelly had like apparently a not very lucrative Western
in the
career
50s
before.
though, like not like what have they done for us lately? Like when's the last thing you saw? What's the last thing James Doohan did that wasn't Star Trek?
Homeboys in Outer Space.
Shit.
Is that true?
Yes.
Ah,
It was a science fiction parody series, which I may have mentioned on the air before. I don't remember, or we just talked about it separately. He appeared as a barfly in the bar that the main characters would hang out in.
I can buy him or something
he was
like that.
basically in his like Star Trek's 5 and 6 costume with the vest. And
The vest.
Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe
And
what's the
he
last
was
thing
called-
these people did?
He was called Pippin in that one.
What's the last thing that they did that wasn't either Star Trek
Or
Star Trek parody.
or related to Star Trek? Yeah.
Well, right, but that's probably because they had been typecast, couldn't get other work.
Well,
so
yeah,
really,
exactly.
you have to milk that shit because you're just like, no one else is
I'm
giving
not
me more
faulting
fucking
any
works.
of them. I think.
Jake, why do you have a problem with these people having a good
don't.
livelihood?
I
Why,
don't.
Jake? Why?
So the earlier movie.
yeah, so the things that would have been established in the prequel with this, younger cast was, how they met in the academy and how Kirk and Spock got close because Spock was being picked on for being half Vulcan and Kirk came to his aid or whatever else. It would have been established that Kirk's father had gone missing during a warp experiment with Scott, and Scott felt like responsible, and that would have been interesting. But Paramount, I guess, either hadn't realized that what they had commissioned was a prequel movie without the original cast, and therefore, their cash cow was, going to be a worrisome event. They said, no. We want one with the original cast, and we want it in 11 months for the 25th anniversary.
Ooh.
Can you do that, Harv? And Harv said, no!
I quit.
That's impossible. That's actually impossible. What the fuck is wrong with you? And he walked and never worked on the series again. So they dragged in Nimoy to write this thing, and Nimoy wrote this thing with Nicholas Meyer. Some other writers came in and got credit for some stuff, even though they did nearly nothing.
Yeah, there was like 4 or 5 writers in the credits. I remember.
Yeah, most of them did nothing, and they went to a gigantic legal nonsense. The fun story is Koenig wrote a story outline that didn't go anywhere, but it would have been that the Enterprise crew members, except for Spock and McCoy, all get killed at the end. So that would have been fun. Yeah, but Gene, I guess Gene, I don't know if Gene went with the new movie or what, but he also died 2 days after it was screened.
He apparently didn't like it.
I was gonna say, and after having a fight with Nicholas Myers about it.
Probably, yeah. They fought a lot.
I feel like we read about that.
Yeah. Thank goodness they didn't do that, because I really, it would be depressing if the last outing for the
But they still
real
would have
cast.
done. They still would have done another afterwards.
Oh, would they
with
have?
the real
Oh, okay.
with the original cast?
Because ending on Star Trek V would have
That
been
would have sucked.
terrible.
Now,
It'd be like ending on Nemesis.
yeah.
I haven't seen Nemesis, so I have no
It
idea.
ain't great. Now here's the thing that I always wondered about this movie is why was I know we talked about why was Nichelle Nichols' character replaced in this movie? Like, we're used to Nichelle Nichols playing Uhura, obviously from the show and the other films. But in this movie, she played a new character, Uhuru.
It's Uhura's twin sister.
How have they?
I mean, it does explain why she didn't know how to use the fucking translator
Yeah, why
properly.
she didn't know fucking
How have
Klingon.
they not fixed that in any of the subsequent releases? You could probably do it in 2 seconds in Photoshop. I could probably get a high schooler to do it in Photoshop for fucking exposure, because he's too young to realize that's not
How
what you pay
does that
someone
get
in.
past anybody? Period.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed when the cast of credits was going by. I'm like, oh, they misspelled Uhura's name.
Yeah, so if in case you're wondering what we're talking about, in the closing credits to the movie, Uhura is misspelled.
As Uhuru.
U-H-U-R-U.
Were they confused because she was directly above Sulu? Like, I don't...
It'd be great if it was
Sula.
Uhuru and Sula.
Nice.
Oh, Sula. I like it.
Wait, Sulu did get his first name in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They mentioned that in his captain's log, I think.
Yep.
Good for him.
I just love him. He's such a delight throughout. I don't have anything important to say about it. I just love George.
He did finally get the Excelsior.
Yeah.
And I love George Takei so much.
Was he the one when they're at the end of 4 that said, I hope it's the Excelsior? Good for him.
Yep.
Now, speaking of Uhuru, this is the last, in terms of, this will be the last time that we will see Nichelle Nichols in Star Trek.
Yeah.
This is her last appearance. This is also the last chronological, in terms of production order, appearance of DeForest Kelley.
Yep.
Although we will see him next week in
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
We're doing Galaxy Quest next
That's
week.
what we're doing Galaxy Quest, which we're looking forward to
Spoilers!
watching and talking about. We'll be watching Galaxy Quest next week and talking about.
You're the fucking worst.
I just snorted.
You did.
Maybe
really
I should
hard.
explain that joke, but it won't make sense because they won't have heard the joke yet. So I don't have to explain the joke.
Time is very wibbly
Yeah,
wobbly here.
Exactly.
God, no.
We have Matt Smith time in our recording schedule.
No, let's be fair.
Stephen
We've
Moffated.
Stephen Moffated. We've
Yes.
poor innocent Matt Smith out of it.
But at any rate, so this is the last time we're going to see Nichelle Nichols. Although I was reading that she was they considered bringing Nichelle, not Uhura, but Nichelle in as Guinan's mother on TNG.
That would have been interesting.
But
I don't
that-
know what
But they were going to have her mother appear and have it be played by Nichelle, but that never
That
happened.
would have been awesome. They should have done that. I would love that.
But I just think it would have been weird
Did they
to
get
have...
Majel Barrett instead?
No, we never see her mother. But I just think it would have been weird to have a main cast actor appear as a different character.
Would've been
Like
a little
Worf.
bit- Like Yeoman
Well,
Rand.
that's true.
Yeah, except they would have just like, You know, like, they probably would have had a terrible scene where Data was like, has anyone ever told you you resemble someone? Or something, I don't know, I can't.
But,
I remember every fact I, come across, whatever the fuck he says.
So yeah, when we see DeForest Kelley next and last will be Encounter at Farpoint. But everybody else in the main cast...
Don't bum us out, Jake. This was a good movie.
It was a good movie. It was a good send-off to this crew. And in fact, I wish it had been the last time we saw all of them. Except for maybe Nimoy. Nimoy's falling appearance, I think, was pretty good.
In TNG?
In TNG.
I could still do without fucking Kelvin Timeline.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I think... And I think Takei's next and I believe final appearance is worthwhile.
Yeah.
I don't know the reference.
It's from Voyager. But, like, I really didn't need the Scotty episode of Next Gen, and I certainly didn't need the appearances of the cast in Generations, because fuck that movie. It's garbage.
Is it garbage?
Garbage.
But,
Good.
at the very least, for our last assembled outing of the original cast, I think it was a very good note to go out on.
Yeah, it's a good send-off. The final line, second star to the right. Get a little misty-eyed into that one.
Yeah, I was definitely... I got a little weepy.
Yeah, no, I have now
Good
finally seen all of the original Star Trek.
Yeah, all the adventures
Even
of the
TAS.
crew of, of the Starship Enterprise.
So it's a fucking huge milestone for us as a podcast.
It's true.
Yeah.
One down.
We'll all
One
put
series
our
down.
signatures on
where no
Facebook.
one has gone before.
About damn time, Kirk.
Yep. Yeah.
So long, original crew.
Goodbye. Farewell to the Constitution class. Those
I think we
uniforms.
see some wreckage of Constitution class.
That's depressing. This has been episode 55 of A Star to Steer Her By. Thank you very much for joining us. Do please find and like our Facebook page, A Star to Steer Her By. We are on Twitter and Tumblr as SSHB Podcast. Please consider subscribing to us on your favorite podcasting application, and if you have or use iTunes, please consider giving us a rating or a review.
What do you mean have or use iTunes?
Well, some people, I have it, but I don't really use it.
Well, if you have it, give us the fucking review.
That's a good point.
Just if you don't have it, get it and give us the review.
And then delete it, because it's a CPU drive.
I don't think you
But
even
you know,
have...
here's the
I think
thing.
you can just
Here's
do it
the
on
thing.
the internet. You don't even have to have
I-
iTunes
don't-
downloaded, do you?
Give us an honest fucking review, people. Don't give us... I hate this about people that are like, oh, go into iTunes. Other podcasts do this. I don't want us to do this. Other podcasts, go on iTunes and give us a 5-star review. No, fuck you. Don't give us a 5-star review. If we earned it, if we did 5-star work, give us a 5-star review. If we did 3-star work, give us a 1-star review. Because we're 5 fucking stars, and if we're not, we're shit!
What just happened?
I'm not
Jake has lost his mind.
But seriously, no, please review us.
Honestly.
And come on Facebook, too, and tell us shit. Send us... We should do a listener mail segment.
That would be awesome.
Send us your thoughts, and we'll read them aloud and tell you why you're wrong.
I would actually
things-
love to have that.
And things for Caitlin to say in a Russian accent.
Yes.
Yeah, at the end of every episode.
Guys, I had breakfast 10 hours ago. Can we go eat?
I'm trying.
I tried to suggest food 3 hours ago.
Thank you very much for listening.
Be sure to tip your human.
So it was totally Finny, right?
And this is always Jake.
Wait, did I not? God damn it! Because you people. All right.
What do you mean, you people?
I think we're done.
Yeah, we're done.
Bye, Chris.
Bye.